The WNBA seems to be struggling to maintain interest. Now, it was the final ingredient for the perfect storm. This injury gave the WNBA the data they need to prove that pretend basketball is 100% reliant on one player.
The WNBA is staring straight into a ratings freefall, and Commissioner Cathy Engelbert can do little more than watch as the league's carefully polished momentum collapses in real time. The cause isn't complicated. Its biggest draw, its single most bankable star, Caitlin Clark, is sidelined. And with her absence, an uncomfortable reality has surfaced. Strip Clark out of the picture and the league snaps back to its pre-2024 obscurity almost instantly. Empty seats, muted buzz, and national indifference returning like muscle
empty
memory.
arena.
Their season. And the craziest thing about this last groin injury with Caitlin Clark is how it's been covered. The day after she had the groin injury, she was listed as day-to-day. And then a couple weeks after that, then she was listed to being out indefinitely. Now, ESPN had August 12th as the circled return date for Caitlin Clark to get back onto the court. And just yesterday, she was listed as a game time decision for today's game against the Dallas Wings. And then after practice yesterday, Coach Stephanie White basically came out and said, like, no, Caitlin Clark hasn't even been practicing. So they changed it from a game time decision to her being out. This has been all over the place. And
the numbers aren't just bad, they're brutal. Since Caitlin Clark went down with a quad injury on May 24th, national WNBA viewership has fallen off a cliff, dropping by an astonishing 55%. Before the injury, Indiana Fever games featuring Clark were averaging 1.81 million viewers. Without her, those same broadcasts are pulling just 847,000. That's a 53% collapse, and it leaves no room for spin. This league isn't just boosted by one player, it's being carried by
single player.
Last Saturday, the Indiana Felines and the Chicago Bravado played on CBS. How many of you knew that? How many of you guys watched this game? 2 months ago, this matchup would have been the leading story throughout the media. But when you don't have the rivalry, when you don't have the storyline of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, this is just another painfully boring pretend basketball game. Unsurprisingly, the Chicago Bravado got their ass kicked again.
The 2025 WNBA All-Star Game put this reality on full display. With Caitlin Clark sidelined by injury, viewership fell 36%, sliding from a record-setting 3.44 million viewers in 2024 to just 2.19 million in 2025. And here's the part that really stings. That 2.19 million still ranks as the second highest All-Star audience in league history. Let that sink in. Even without Clark, the numbers were considered historic, which says everything about how dire WNBA ratings were before she ever stepped onto the stage.
Arrived.
35%. WNBA ratings down. All-Star Game 35% than last year. Yet you're telling me that it doesn't have to do with Caitlin. 35%. It really makes it difficult for fans of the WNBA in general and Caitlin Clark, like myself, to have conversations, to join a Discord, just to I don't know, want to just talk up the WNBA in general, when you can't even give Caitlin the props that she deserves.
Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is almost certainly losing sleep as she watches the WNBA's meteoric rise morph into an equally dramatic collapse. The same executive who once inherited a league of just 12 employees and a pandemic-era fight for survival now faces an even more unsettling reality. Not financial collapse, not expansion growing pains, but a league that has laid bare its total dependence on a single player and can't hide it
on a
anymore.
single player.
Man, I miss Caitlin Clark. But all I know for sure about the WNBA is that it had better get Caitlin Clark physically and mentally healthy, or risk sliding right back off the national map. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest here. I find it difficult to watch WNBA games without her on the floor. I did watch most of the All-Star Game on Saturday night, mostly just to see how she would react as an unofficial coach. But guess what that game turned into? All the other players tried to be Caitlin Clark. That's what happened.
Engelbert has been taking heat from every direction. Stars like Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Plum have openly called out inconsistent officiating, while attendance and TV ratings continue to sink without the league's biggest attraction on the floor. She's been forced to address it publicly, stressing that consistency is critical and admitting it's an area where the league needs to keep improving. But let's be honest about what's actually happening. Better officiating isn't going to fix the core issue. The problem isn't the whistles. It's that without Caitlin Clark, most people simply stop paying attention.
Caitlin Clark.
This league has grown the way it's grown, undoubtedly because of Caitlin Clark. She was out of the All-Star game. The tickets to get into the actual event, half off. People went because it literally got chopped in half. If Angel and Caitlin and all the others grew the WNBA, right, then the viewership should have stayed up right now. During this past weekend, it shouldn't have dropped 35% viewership just because Caitlin Clark wasn't able to play.
If you're enjoying this, make sure to subscribe, because this next part is almost impossible to believe. Behind closed doors during collective bargaining talks, the WNBA reportedly walked away from a deal that would have quadrupled player pay. Minimum salaries would have jumped from $66,000 to $250,000. Maximum salaries would have skyrocketed from $250,000 to $1 million. Phoenix Mercury forward Sada Sabali reportedly dismissed the offer as a slap in the face. Let that fully register. Players in a league that loses roughly $50 million every single year, a league that has never turned a profit in its 28-year existence, rejected a deal that would have made many of them millionaires. A 4-time salary increase. Turned down. All while operating in a league kept alive by NBA subsidies, estimated at around $15 million
According to reports.
I think we can focus on our players. In the union, we got a proposal from the league, which was honestly a slap in the face. And I think we really have to put an emphasis on the players that are in our league right now. But I love to see the league growing. I think, adding these teams in Philly and Detroit, like that's how amazing is that the league can grow. But how cool would it also be to have like a little bit expansion on the rosters? Like, let's focus on the teams that have everything set up right now, and maybe focus on the teams also that find excuses continuously to lack investment into their players before we focus on adding more to the grain of people that can't really be sustained.
The delusion on display is staggering, and one confused fan summed it up perfectly. They rejected million-dollar salaries in a league that's losing money. These players genuinely believe they deserve NBA-level pay while competing in a league where a Phoenix Mercury game without Caitlin Clark averaged just 160,000 viewers. The math isn't complicated and it isn't cruel, it's reality. You cannot demand premium salaries for a product that almost nobody is watching.
I don't know about this one, ladies. I don't know if this was the wisest decision. I really don't. I think you guys might be overstating your value just a bit. I'm a fan. I love Caitlin Clark. It's a bunch of players in this league that I enjoy watching. I think some of you may be overstating your value, and it is about to lead to a flat out strike and lockout.
The brutal truth the WNBA refuses to confront is this. Caitlin Clark isn't just the league's biggest star. She is the league. The data is overwhelming and impossible to spin. In 2024 alone, Clark accounted for an estimated 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity, spanning merchandise sales, ticket revenue, and television viewership. ESPN's Stephen A. Smith said it best when he labeled Clark the league's cash cow and box office, noting that her absence produces instant and devastating ratings collapses. The numbers back it up. Indiana Fever games averaged a record 17,036 fans per night with Clark on the floor, outdrawing Indiana's NBA team in the very same arena. League-wide merchandise sales surged by 500%, with Clark ranking number 1 overall. Broadcasts featuring her generated 45% of the entire league's total media value. And the contrast couldn't be clearer. Clark's season debut against the Chicago Sky pulled in 2.7 million viewers. When those same teams met without her, ticket prices dropped to as low as $3. The market has already delivered its verdict. Without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA doesn't struggle. It reverts to a niche product that most people simply ignore.